Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Here we are. I think today's the 19th. Sorry for running a little bit behind today. I had some work to do to be ready and prepared and to be here with each of you today. So thank you for the delay, writing it out with me. I have some big things I want to talk to you about, and I wanted to kind of more fully embody them before I began to talk about it. So you got to do the work first. Healer, heal thyself. And so hopefully what I have kind of alchemized, will be able to process. Okay, great to know. Yep. Great to see you. Hello. Sorry for the delay today, but great to see all y'all coming on here. All right, so I want to kind of jump right into it, but before we do that, I want to clear the space. So let's set the intention that this come from a heart-centered place. I'm going to pull out my feather. You use what works for you, but it's going to be in the figure 8. And so we're just going to clear, bathe, bless, purify, harmonize, and divinitize this space, this platform, the rooms that each of us are in, the energy bodies of our being, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, all the layers, all dimensions, time and space. And let's call in our highest wisdom from those dimensions into this now. And let's ask that a golden wash, pearlescent gold wash, come through and from above and just clear out, pull out anything that doesn't serve, and bringing the essence of your being into this now to step forward freely, unencumbered. And I'm just again going to ask that all beings, galactic, angelic, highest levels, surround this communication today. So the messages that need to come through will be received unencumbered, unfiltered, unadulterated. And as always, I ask that you listen from your heart here, and you're welcome to bring in other energy centers of your body. Feel the experience for yourself, but firstly start with the heart. Okay, so just thanking Spirit for highest presence being here today, and calling in sacred space into your room. You can imagine 4 pearlescent gold columns thudding down, filling in with walls, floor, and ceiling, all pearlescent gold, just up-leveling a little bit for this conversation. Growing roots out of your feet and your tailbone, out of your hands even, releasing the day, the week, the month, the year. Y'all, there's so much going on, and I'm speaking from my department here. So everyone, you can listen to a multitude of teachers out there and people who have who are connected in, and we all will have probably a similar message, but with different timelines, etc. So that's why I call you to listen with your heart. If you feel compelled to listen into this, there's something in this offering for you. But from where I'm standing, there's a lot of timelines that are actually unwinding, untangling, and getting cleared up and out. There's more what I sense to be chaos, which is divine chaos, but that means that there are going to be some more sleights of hand, and there's going to be some more activity from lower densities coming on, becoming a little bit more active as we've seen over the past several years. And just to know, the ask is for you to know your worth, your value, and your voice well enough to begin to navigate through the waters. So what I'm hearing and seeing right now is kind of like sirens, in the water when the sailors are out and they hear the singing women, or the false light, the false lighthouse. There's going to be a lot of that, and just know that the only truth, the true navigation, is within yourself, and you connect with a community that feels aligned for you. And so this is really a call to action and preparation. This is what I'm feeling in my body and my bones and the work that I was doing today. So I want to talk a little bit about my process. We might pull a card today. I have them sitting, but that's not what's on the forefront right now. So drop back down and into your being. Sit back in the center of your head. And almost begin to get your popcorn out. Sit back in your lounge chair. And let's just watch this, kind of watch it like a movie. Let me talk and see what comes up for you in your own mind screen. So sit back in your movie theater in the center of your head. Okay, so I want to talk about activation, what in DNA activation, basically feeling called or compelled to align with our mission, a truth, but let's just talk about the DNA activation and what that feels like, the awakening process. Straight out feels like a shitstorm. And you're not doing anything wrong. This is just kind of how it goes. I referenced a little bit of this in my last post. But know that it does get easier as the evolutionary growth says you ascend one layer, kind of like pocket a band, and you go to the next. With each kind of, let's just call it ascension, it gets easier because you begin to get more familiar with the ropes. You know your stuff. You know what comes up, and you begin to depersonalize some of it, where it's just the thing that you identified with. And now it's looking for greater healing. There's more parts of you that are looking to step in and begin to be part of your team, an active part of your team versus a disempowered component of your psyche. So take a second and let that kind of settle in. And right now, what I'm feeling is a bigger push, almost an urgency for those components to really make their way in pretty quickly. And what I'm noticing for myself and those around me, it's coming in hard and fast. And so what I've basically, starting in March, there was a tremendous amount of growth that I experienced, and I kind of hit a climax or a peak, and then immediately it went down because I had to integrate and go through all the things that were incongruent with the higher frequency that just came in. And so you might notice on your path, you have these peaks and then these valleys, up and down, up and down. And so the tools come in. It's so important to be practicing your tools when you're kind of on the up and up. So when, I'm going to say it again, the shit hits the fan for you, that you have those well indoctrinated skill sets in kind of muscle memoried into your being that you can call on, and that will help anchor you in. It will help slow the descent a little bit and give you a little bit of a cushion. And there's nothing wrong with the up and down. It's just kind of just I'm going to say the physics of it all. You know, as we bring in more, we have to clear out to make room for that. So what I've noticed even in the past few days, there's larger cycles and then there's smaller cycles, but there's been big openings, lots of epiphany. I actually had this moment where I heard a voice in my head and I recognized, oh my God, this is the voice I've been ignoring for a really long time, because I almost wrote it off as not legitimate, like not as having value. There's a part of me, of my belief system, that just had the volume set up high enough to overwrite or just be louder than the inner voice. And I recognized the truth of myself actually speaking to me, trying to have a conversation. And as soon as I heard that voice, you know, I listened, I wrote the conversation down, I affirmed it, and I committed to listening to it more. There was a greater expansion of my being. I was getting kind of downloads of information, connecting with my family of light. So receiving information, and a lot of my senses come in visually, auditorily, and just knowing, the clairsentience. But for each of you, it could be different. And then right after that, there was a retraction. And so that was kind of what I was trying to work on. I was working on and addressing before I got on the call, because if I come on in the middle of my stuff, that's not going to serve anybody. And so that's why I hadn't posted anything about this call today, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be on a solid footing before we talked about this. And so let me walk you through a little bit what that looked like. So I had the expansion, had all these epiphanies. I found my inner voice. This is my true navigation, kind of what I talked about in my last post about your internal Garmin. That's there for us. It is hardwired into us. There's just a lot of gunk that comes in to override our organic system. And so I've done, quite a bit of work over the years removing that gunk, but there's still memories of things, that come up, or sensitivities, proclivities that I have that I'm aware of and I need to work with. Just like for yourself, you need to know yourself, know your proclivities, know your sensitivities, know where your, I'm going to say, weak points are, so you can love them even more when the going gets tough, because those are the places that are going to be the most stretched and challenged. Those are the places actually where your gifts lie, y'all. So your gifts are in these weak places. So what's being asked of me, I have a dear, dear heart friend. Their call is to surrender in this process. They are a warrior, beautiful warrior, but their call is to surrender. My call is to step up and hold that fucking line. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm stepping up and holding the line, even when it's hard. And that's what I'm feeling. There's a lot of kind of stuff coming at me, and we're all going to be asked to kind of deal with an influx of stuff as we're influx of overwhelm as we step into our power in our weaker points. Because our weaker points, let me reiterate this, the weaker points within our being are not our Achilles heel. They are not our place where we should feel less or unworthy. These are the places where we need to anchor in even more, step in even more, and own our light, own our being, and love whatever is wounded within those weaker points, to the point that it can grow up and fully actualize. It can actually step out of its place of hiding, because that's what it is. There's basically your weak points were so strong at some point, they were ostracized, they were pushed away, exiled. And some part of you saw that as not being accepted, because we all have that desire to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved. And it has been sitting, hiding, waiting. And so now is the time to love the hell out of all your weak points. Love the heck out of your ostracized small self, whatever that is. And that can come up too. I want to be clear. When you go to these spots that feel less powerful, there can be lashing out. There can be poor behavior choices. And that can show up in a myriad of ways. If you had any proclivities towards addictions, that can kind of start to push its way forward, or checking out, disassociating, lashing out, moodiness, unhealthy behaviors, choices that are not the most empowering, staying either holed up or going out into the world and kind of blindly blah into the world. Know yourself. Listen to yourself. Find that for you where you act out. And the ask here is to, one, get support when you're kind of going into those places, because sometimes we need that neutral witness to hold the space, and then to begin to love, ask what's underneath that feeling of wanting to lean into an old pattern, and welcome that piece of you in, because those weak points are your gifts. Okay? And so that's kind of what I've been going into, is not only the retraction, but the clearing. And there has been a sense of like complete and utter freaking overwhelm. And so the overwhelm, I'm not sure if all of you will feel this, but I just kind of want to address it as we go forward, so you can refer back to it and if at a future date, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, this will be here. And I'm speaking for all of us who are connecting in this way. You have to clear and allow the retraction, and then sit with what is and ground down and use your tools. And so the tools for me were, 1, a day of stillness and meditation. Then it was identifying where I was avoiding, and then it was getting myself moving. So I needed to go walk, and then I needed to go do some really kind of vigorous cardiovascular work. Yoga wasn't going to cut it for this. I needed to move it out of my body. Also breath work, but the breath work at this point, like the breath of fire, I've been doing that several times throughout the week, but even the breath work got too hard for me. So I needed to switch it up. So just because your go-to thing isn't working when you're in the pit or you're having a tough time doesn't mean all that is lost. It's the time for you to change the plan, to bring in something new, to bring in some new tools, to bring in a different type of support. Okay? And then after you do that, after you go through the expansion, the down, the kind of the decline, the retraction, you do your clearing, you step up, and you step through. And that's here where I am right now. And so this is my moment. I want you all to feel it. This is my moment where the stuff is literally like that I just moved through is right there, and yet it's not. Because I have moved through, and here I am in this present now talking to you about your own capacity and your own ability. So my attention isn't drawn back here into my own stuff where I couldn't be fully present here and now. And this is the cycle, this is the current cycle at least, that's available for you to go through. You might have your own version, your own flavors, but this kind of gives you a trajectory. So you know you are losing some things, you're not losing your mind, and it's not going to be forever, but there is a losing, there is an ending, there is a death cycle that happens. Okay, so let me move on, and I just kind of want to collect my thoughts here. If you have any questions, let me know. So as you break open, there's an activation. So we're going to have several of these breaking open points, these trigger points, and they're marked in your own unique storyline and timeline for you. So just because your neighbor over there had 3 breakthroughs last week doesn't mean that that's the same story for you. And don't let anyone tell you that it should be happening for you in a certain way. No, this is your own storyline. So the breaking open, the epiphany, the release, the kind of that point where you climb and you have a bigger awareness, that will come when you're ready, when your soul is ready. All right. And so what happens is the falling apart of the old, and then you have the resistance, what I was talking about. And that's the time when a lot of people give up, when the resistance comes up in the old storylines, and the weight, the oppression from the history comes up. And I highly suggest for each of you, when you hit that point, to get the support, because again, you're not meant to do this alone. We're not meant to do this alone. That is a message that has been coming through so clearly for me. And I think we need one another, especially with what's coming up, just kind of what I'm sensing and what we're being asked to, the storylines we're being asked to change, because there are ways that our matrix is being kind of trying to be directed in a certain way, and we're being asked to hold the line of a very different, higher, more expanded possibility, rooted in freedom, connected with divine truth, the organic reality. And although that is absolutely a reality out there, we just need to make sure my call, my work, and for those of you who listen, is to hold that line and to continue to step forward, because even every ounce of work that you do for yourself, you're contributing to the consciousness of the greater whole. You're contributing to the deconstruction of a, let's just call it a lesser reality, a more unconscious reality. You are contributing to consciousness being anchored here on the earth. Okay. And so the ask here too is, as the old belief systems break down, your inner voice is activated, and the ask is to continue to bolster and listen to your inner voice. This is similar to your intuitive guidance, like your intuition, but what I'm seeing, at least I'm feeling for myself, and I think for this group of you in the coming months and even year, it's going to be about your voice of truth, like your inner leader coming through and speaking. It's not just the body senses. This is a bigger, much more robust energy looking to make its presence known. And so that is part of my intention too, in the work that I'm doing, not only showing up here, but also in the one-on-one sessions and the group mentorship in particular, where we can develop you, build you up so that powerful inner truth of you can begin to emanate and speak out into the world and just be much more easily and effortlessly than if you hadn't been in a group environment where you were kind of seen on a 360 and held in this kind of continuous, I'm going to say container, it's not my favorite word, but continuous, container for about a month, where you can really practice and root down and grow stronger in yourself. Okay, so now that we've said all that, we being me and the team coming in, it's a big energy, and I'm getting a ringing in my right ear here. Let's take a moment, and I'm going to ask if there's any other messages from Spirit that want to come through. I'm going to pull a card here and just asking that all those who will participate in this now or future nows receive the message that they need around this call to action, lighting up and remembering, because this offering today is meant to be like a trigger point, an activation for those of you who are ready. All right. All right, there wants to be 4 cards today. Let me see here. So Realm Bridger is the first one. Soul Star Chakra. All right, so that's above the head. The Balanced Forces. Oh man, these are good ones. And Earth, y'all. So what I really feel is like y'all are the troops, like the beings of light, the beams of light anchoring down here on the earth, bringing in your gifts and your vision and your all those things that you've been told to downplay or downplayed within yourself. All those things now are being called to activate, because you're almost like a sleeper agent, for the working for highest alignment here. And this is the call now, because if you're connected to anything I'm saying, this is my department, and we're being asked to activate. It's kind of heart-centered go time. So let me read a couple words about this, and then maybe we'll do a little anchoring in of everything I talked about. Let's just see what these cards do for you, how they resonate. So Realm Bridger is visionaries, architects of the future. Information from other realms, yes, and that's a big piece of what's going on right now too. The parallel dimensions and all that. There's a show called Fringe that kind of goes into this. I have a strong feeling about the information from other realms, higher dimensions kind of coming in, bleeding through, and there's almost like a harmonizing of these other realities into this one as we, again, ascend these layers from the denser experiences into a higher frequency. So feel this with me, because I so desire for y'all to grow and expand with whatever is being offered through me, for y'all to feel the fire, because it's not just for me, it's meant for whatever's coming through is universal, and it's meant to touch those who are really willing and ready to participate. So I'm just going to put my hand out here and just receive whatever feels resonant for you. And there's almost like a coming home to, like a deeper settling to of like who you are offered in all of this, and a much deeper peace and an awareness of the bigger picture here, and that you're not lost and you're not hopeless, and there's so much love to be tapped into. And basically what's happening is there's so many different shields and veils around us that kind of create a forgetting, and the ask is to really remember the love that is here. Okay, so let me go back to reading here. Bridging the seen with the unseen, inspiration, seeding a new earth, yes, traversing different states of consciousness, birthing ideas from subtle reality, and journeying. Okay, so the soul star chakra is merging with the divine, and that's the chakra right above your head. And let me read about that. Okay, so transcendence, letting go, being filled with divine light, channeling, karmic records, the bridge between the spiritual and the physical realms, and ascension. Yeah. Okay, so, and then the next one is balanced forces. And so basically we're bringing all this in, but it needs to be in such a way that you can assimilate it and share it with the world. If it's not harmonious, if it's not balanced, it's not going to be of service, straight out. So if we go to one extreme or the other, it's going to feed into I'm just going to say a lesser reality. And the idea that ask here is to come into greater harmony, to unify the sides, whatever they may be. So again, it's the expanding from that dualistic experience into the more interconnected ways of being, still individualized, still knowing and having your own unique signature and experience, and yet recognizing and living from a much more holistic, organic, connected space. Not that we still don't have ups and downs, not that all the problems are solved, because that's not, no. I mean, some of the challenges are where we have our greatest growth. But it's just, again, it's just this organic growth at once. It's just like a seed pushing out of, a flower pushing out of its seed, out of the shell, wanting to grow. This is just the natural impulse of creation happening. And so, there's energies that are trying to fight it, bless our hearts. But to be honest, it is what it is. And we're just being called in to help that process. Okay, 2 more. Balanced forces. The yin and the yang, productive flow, masculine and feminine energy, the balance of duality, patriarchal paradigm being rebalanced, equality, balance, and perspective. Okay, so essentially we're just being walked through what this process is. That I'm talking about right now, and what's going on and what's so relevant right now. I think this is such a relevant conversation and frequency right now for y'all. So you could not even listen to the words, but just feel the feelings coming through this, and that'll get you where you need to go for right now. And take action, of course, take action on whatever comes up in you. Okay. So Earth, nurture nature, looking after the planet, the ebb and flow of life, the loving embrace of Mother Nature, the natural beauty of death and decay, the microcosm, big and little, time and nature, ancestors, growth through weathering storms, yes, nurturing self and heart so you may flourish. Yes, yes, yes. So nurturing self and heart so you may flourish. Okay, so let's take all this, bring it into your heart space, and let's just ground all this into the earth underneath your feet. Send the message, send the frequency down through your tissues, through your bones, all the way into the layers of the earth, into the ground, the crystal, the water, to the core of Gaia, and asking to cut through any distortion that may be held there, coming into the pure essence, the pure, vibrant frequency of Gaia, of the spirit of Gaia. And at the same time, thank you for doing this, because as you do it, it opens up the channel through you straight to source and just affirms where we are. It's kind of like these little touchstones for spirit, just letting, okay, so-and-so has activated in the northern or southern hemisphere, western, eastern hemisphere of the world. And coming into your magnificence, into your magnificent heart, remembering your true gifts, calling in that harmony, and on a spirit level, doing a 360 in your field, and just assessing where are those points that some part of you, some belief is determined to be weak. And I'm going to invite you to put on a different filter and say what within you needs more love, what within you needs to be witnessed and to be finally heard. Even if you can't point out specific things, just set the intention here. You're starting the conversation. You got to start somewhere. The beginning of a 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. And so the ask for today in this talk is to be almost like a leap forward for y'all in this remembrance. So wherever you are on your remembrance and your awakening path, we're all kind of at different gradations, different points, just to be a leap forward. To give you a boost, because the ask is for more awakened souls now. There needs to be more, like a higher percentage of us that are being the generators, doing our soul work, being a clear vessel for spirit. Aligning with our soul work. And I'm just working down the spine here. There's a lot happening in the base of the neck, kind of where it meets the shoulders. There's a lot of actually in the group healing this week, there was I believe that was it, in the group healing, I can't remember, but they're working in the discs in between each vertebrae, working in the discs in there and clearing any let's just call it false programming, any untruths. But really it's about the activation, the remembrance. And I almost see the DNA being activated specifically in these discs in your spine back here. And so this is so interesting because it's really connected into your heart space too. And there's a way that the electromagnetic frequency of your heart is being, it's like a new surge of information flowing through from the base of your neck through the heart. So new info. Hold on, let me clear. Yeah. And now that there is a beam coming down your spine through your tailbone into the earth, and it's a very thin stream of you that has been activated, anchoring into the earth here. And so all of these healings that I do, you might feel something in the moment. A lot of them have long-term cumulative effects. It's like pushing the dominoes. You know, you're not quite sure where it's going to go, but there is a big expansion intention here. And again, I happen to be the vessel, but this is just the energy coming through, and it's a very like wide-reaching kind of almost Earth to galactic effect, and it takes time for those effects to trickle in. So it's like watering the top of a plant and it trickling down to the roots. So even if you don't notice something in this now, I have a strong sense that in a near future now, something is going to shift for you. And I hope that it's something where whatever was bothering you, it's almost like it's easy, it's graceful, and it just kind of, you're easily led into that next expression. That's the ask here. It doesn't have to be jolting and jarring and discombobulating in such harsh ways. Okay, so now your heart center is just like putting down roots wider. So we're asking that you grow bigger. And so your neural network needs more places to go. And so that's kind of what's happening, front, back, side, and side. Just more places to anchor in, to be here now, and to bring in this higher frequency information. Okay. And so we're working with brothers and sisters of light, let's say the galactic family. They are here. They've been very, very, very present. I work so hard to try to bring it into like the human, like the form, you know, but there's just so much activity happening from spirit and from those aspects of our family, our light family, that are helping to bring in support for us. You know, we got to do this ourselves, but we can ask and communicate to receive support. And so trickling that through and just rewiring starting with, we do the meridian system of the body, the neural networks, because those are the first things that are most easily accessed, and then that goes into the denser tissues, eventually going to the bones. And then when your marrow starts to change, when your bones start to shift, when you feel like a difference in your skeletal structure, that's when you've truly embodied the essence of kind of that next expression. Good. And just bringing that into Mother Earth and update. Okay, so I'm just watching this, you know, this is in service for y'all, and this is in service for the Earth and all of really humanity, for whatever pocket that, you know, we when we're showing up here, we're in service to the greater whole, whatever pocket we're offering this to. Okay, so I'm going to continue to kind of do this. Do you have any questions? How are you doing? I know I said a lot came through. All right, and so I'm actually connecting with these different versions of Earth now too. I'm just seeing like Earth, like here's an Earth, and here's like a hologram, like just different versions of Earth here that are being almost like united, or something's happening here. And I just wanted to say thank you for those who are live or not, you know, listening at future time. Thank you for your presence, because without you showing up, these healings, these shifts wouldn't be a thing. Your presence is on some level so important, you know, whether live or not, just by you participating. So very powerful. And it really does shift realities. Okay. And so there's a symbol coming out of the head, like the forehead here. And it's projecting out. I'm going to see what that does or means. And it's something like a stamp with it, your own stamp within the cosmos here. Like your own signature. But I see it as a stamp. And it looks like a symbol, but it's a stamp. Your own stamp within the cosmos coming out of your head, projecting out. And it looks like a hologram, but it almost has a solid feel to it. So I just think I'm sensing here that there are parts of you that have been turned on and activated. And so just remember, after this, take good care of yourself, plenty of water. If there's sunshine out for you, get out in nature, get yourself grounded, take a rest if you need to, because some of these activations are, they'll knock you out, and you need to go to sleep for everything to come through. And then remember, once you have that awakening, that expansion, there tends to be kind of a retraction that happens. Nothing's wrong, you're just in the process of releasing and letting it go. So remember that as you're kind of going through this cycle. And then get the support. Join our group healings on Saturdays. Find one-on-one session support. Do what works for you. Okay. Thank you for being here. And step back with gratitude, returning your energy to you, cleared, bathed, blessed, purified, harmonized, and divinitized in the highest light. Receiving my energy back. Cleared, bathed, blessed, purified, harmonized, and divinitized. And in the highest light, within divine will, asking that each of your families of light continue to support you in ways that feel safe and congruent for you. So be it. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Just know this is my last weekend running the group healing by myself, and I believe it's the last weekend, yeah. And then Mel will be back. Let me just put it this way. Melanie and I will be back together doing the group healings on Saturdays starting May 1st. So whenever that is, I think that might be, yeah, we just have one more week of me, and then the group healings with she and I will begin. So very exciting, and if you want to sign up for that, just go to my bio and join anytime, and we have the next few weeks open. And one-on-one sessions are there, and then my group mentorship will start at the end of May, and I will be having some more information coming out around that. And it's going to be a small group, 4 to 8 people, and it will be an intensive for those who feel empowered and strong to stand on their own as they go through these bigger kind of leaps in consciousness, but being supported by a group. This is my first time doing the group officially, but it's been deeply transformative when I have done it unofficially. Well, thank you. What deck do you use? It's beautiful. Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's the Beyond Lemuria guidebook. So here's the book here. The gal who makes these, her name is Izzy Ivy. I linked to her at the end of these videos, so you can find her link there. But I've never been into cards, but I saw this one and it kind of just lit me up. So here it is. And it's been very helpful. So I hope this was in high support for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a direct message around, kind of what transpired. Otherwise, I look forward to connecting with you soon. All right, be well.